want to pause right now to say thank you for your many blessings. Lord, we're here in a beautiful setting to recognize a beautiful cause, a beautiful occasion. And we thank you, Lord, for Heart of the Horse, and especially today for these scouts. What an amazing organization it is. I can speak from personal experience. Camp Chewanick, baby. But thank you again, Lord, for bringing us together. May all we do glorify you. We ask this in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. I'd like to introduce Alonzo Rios, the Colonel. We brought this stage down here, but I think we're going to be fine right here. You think?
Right.
Okay.
Well, my name's Lorenzo. You can also call me Alonzo. Hey, you. It's all good. I can't miss the opportunity. I love my partner here. I have the honor of today to just say a few words about this beautiful flag. The flag that you're going to see brought out. And I thank my Eagle Scouts here, my Scouts and my soon-to-be Eagle, who I understand did this as their Eagle project, to put this up. Oh, he's right up here. To put it up, because I'll tell you, one of the things that sometimes we forget are the symbols that make this nation great. And these symbols have a purpose. These symbols are to remind us of what it is that we have embarked in. America is an idea, a dream that those who have been born under the flag have forgotten. But those who have been born outside of that flag, oh so clearly know. Recently, I had to remind folks that as horrible as this place is, foreigners still know that they are willing to pay thousands of dollars to vacation in the place that we think is really not that great. If we can't think like Americans, maybe we need to start thinking like foreigners, because by thinking like foreigners, you will remember how great this nation is. This is truly a gift from God. It is one nation under God. And the next word is indivisible. Somehow or another, we've forgotten what it means. We've learned to hate other because we can't handle words that don't fit with what we believe. We live in a nation where we are born to be free, where the rights that are bestowed to us are not bestowed to us by our surname or a monarch, but by God himself. Hence the term inalienable. These terms are things that we must understand lest we forget. We are really standing on the shoulders of giants who have come before us, who have seen this flag in difficult times, and they were willing to give the ultimate sacrifice to ensure that that flag continued on. I have seen this flag in combat operations, and nothing brought me more solace to know that I was leading that flag forward and that everything was going to be all right, because my family was back home under the red, white, and blue. Those 13 stripes represent the 13 original colonies. That's to not forget where we come from. The colors red and white. Red reminds us that freedom isn't free. It is that color of red, hence the blood that is shed to ensure that this nation remains free. White for the purity of thought, and blue, the unity. That's the part that right now we are challenged with. We have learned to hate. We have learned to divide. It's on all of us to remember that the only way you make sacrifice matter, the only way you remember that red is the red blood that's been spilled by very few. Currently, 1% of our nation serves our country. That means that the 99% live under a blanket of freedom that has been paid for by 1%. It's easy for us to forget. But that is all the more reason why we must remember that as citizens, we have a duty to do our part. We don't just wake up and just say, wow, this is great. Wow, I've got my game. Wow, I've got my coffee, my $5 cup of coffee. I'm so happy that our nation is so rich and we have so much bounty. But it's our bounty that has now blocked our ability to see the beauty of this great nation. that somehow or another the rest of the world can still see, yet we, those who love the blanket of that freedom that is given to us, have somehow forgotten. So here's my challenge to all. My challenge to all is make the sacrifice matter. Remember your part. Do your part. Stand up and lead with confidence, not fear. Right now, more people are afraid of identifying their political party. They're afraid of sharing their views on God. God. That is not America. And the more we accept it, the less we support the sacrifice that was made. It's on us to make sure that the light of freedom stands tall. It is our responsibility to make sure that darkness does not prevail. Darkness would seek to have us stop talking, stop bringing up the inconvenient truths. It is our duty to ensure that with our words, we have done our part to advance forward the principles that have made this nation so great. In a minute, we're going to bring the flag forward. I challenge you to take the moment to listen to the words from the song that is led to the pledge that will be hacked. I'm going to say this real quick. There was a comedian who actually was quite prophetic in telling a story of his youth, and his name was Skelton. His last name was Skelton. Red Skelton. And I'm going to read this because one of the things he said as he was growing up was that his teacher noticed how the students had now become a bit bored. Oh, we have to do this again. And he asked them to stop for a moment to think about what those words meant. Because I will tell you, there are so many that can no longer say those words. And we must say them for them, lest we forget. So just take a moment and listen, because here, after the flag is brought up, we will have the opportunity, and I said that, an opportunity, not an obligation, but an opportunity to stand up and say the pledge. It's a beautiful thing to stand on our own accord and say the words that we freely believe. And here's the pledge. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge, dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and devotion to the flag, our standard, Old Glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect because your loyalty has given her dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. Everybody's job. Of the united. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 50 great individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose, all divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose, and that's love for country and the republic. Individual communities that, as you were, republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern, and government is the people. The government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people. We cannot forget that these are not sovereigns that have been given power from something other than you. They work for you. For which it stands, one nation under God. One nation meaning so blessed by God. Why should we fear the ability to say God if it is from God's blessing that we have what we have? With liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threat, fear, or some sort of retaliation. That's not fear. We're not to have fear. Where you start waking up in the morning concerned about being able to say who you are, potentially put on the wrong color hat, that's not America. And justice, the principle or quality of dealing fairly with others for all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. That's the pledge. When the flag comes up, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a moment to say those words and understand our duty as citizens. Let's not sit on our backside and wonder why things happen. Because as long as you sit on the sideline, you just voted for whomever or whatever just was imposed. Things just don't happen. They happen because of action or because of the support of inaction. Make sure that America stays great and true to its principles, and let's all do our part to hold her accountable. That's why we stand by her and we guide her. Thank you.
Come on up here, young man. I'm gonna let this guy introduce himself. I don't want to butcher his name. Hard to butcher Julian. But it's your show. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
How are you all doing today?
Good.
Great. Well, for those of you who don't recognize me, my name is Julian Years, and I'm a Boy Scout with Troop 223. For those of you who've been in Boy Scouts, you would remember that Eagle Scout is the highest possible rank you can achieve. To become an Eagle Scout, you need to plan and execute an Eagle Scout project. And for mine, I decided to build a very lovely flagpole right here. Now, when I decided to build this flagpole, I had no idea what I was getting into. But through the overwhelming support from all of you guys in the community, we were able to complete this project under budget and in a timely manner. That isn't to say we haven't had our fair share of setbacks. Starting well before we even broke ground, we moved the site 3 times, all over this ranch here. And then when we actually went to go break the ground, we ran into hardpan 2 feet down, which delayed us 2 weeks, and we missed the window when Mr. Adams headed off to Montana. And then finally, PG&E had to come out and repaint all their wires twice because of unfortunate rain seasons washing them away, so we wouldn't cut them when we connected the electrical. What I'm trying to get out here is thank you all so much for all of your support. I'd especially like to thank my parents, my grandparents for dragging me out here, sometimes multiple times in a day. I'd like to thank Mr. Adams for his unwavering support in my Eagle Scout project, even when I began to doubt the feasibility of it myself. And lastly, I'd like to thank all the Boy Scouts that came up here and are going to help me do the ceremony and help me build the flagpole itself. Yeah, thank you all so much. As Americans, this flagpole and this flag represent our great country and the American ideals of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But for me, it is also a symbol of an era that is coming to a close. An era of Boy Scouts and the lessons that I've learned and the lessons of being prepared for the future. So, without further delay, let's start this thing. Color guard can come over and set up. Color guard, attention. Troop, attention. Color guard, advance. Color guard, present the colors.
Oh, beautiful, oh, spacious night, oh, amber waves of grain, oh, purple mountains' majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
And you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, who caught bright and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets with the bombs bursting in air, came through the night, that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Part of the Horse Therapy Ranch with all the other board members, and thank you folks for being such tremendous support with your money and your prayers, because that's really important.
Also, when we're all done here, if you want to pull down to the barn, I can give you a tour. You guys can see what we're all about.